What's happening, folks? Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It's time for live full-time reaction to Kilmarnock 0, Celtic 4 at Rugby Park tonight. Joining me are Martin and Daniel to go over the game. Daniel, I think it goes without saying, one of our better performances this season. What did you make of it?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was definitely a lot better than what we've been witnessing the last number of weeks. The passing was a lot more fluid to the game, and we looked like we were going to score a lot of goals today. Again, there's times in it where you just want that wee bit more edge cutting its different parts in it, but I thought throughout the game we were in control of it. And we did look like scoring a lot of goals today. I thought it could have been a lot more than what the result says at the end. But the team looked a lot more as a unit, I would say, today than what we have done. But just overall, it's just to come away with a victory and again a clean sheet as well. So overall, happy, yeah.
Yeah, Martin, you could tell for the word go tonight that we're moving the ball much quicker, much better than certainly at the weekend, and certainly much better than we've seen in a lot of games this season. Yeah,
definitely. The moving the ball about was partly because there was a lot more movement, there was more options, there was more energy in the team. Not entirely sure how that's come about tonight, and hasn't been the case in previous weeks, but it certainly was evident tonight. And the possession that we had in the first half was really impressive. 73% possession, which is really, really high, particularly for first half away from home. And 7 shots with 3 on target versus 0 shots on target for the opposition. So quite impressed with the first half. It was just usual story. We got 1 goal, and with who would get the next goal? The next goal was going to be huge in the game. And still remember, it seems like an eternity ago when we were at Kilmarnock the last time that we threw away a 1-goal lead. So quite keen to see us get the second goal. But first half, start to the game was really, really impressive, as you say, Paul. Good energy in the team, throughout the team, and moving the ball quickly with lots of options.
Kilmarnock are obviously struggling. I thought they looked quite a bit different for the team that we're used to seeing at Rugby Park, certainly under Steve Clarke and even at times under Alex Dyer, where they really restrict the space. They were playing narrow tonight, but Daniel, I felt like we got a lot of space out wide. Certainly early on in the game, we had a lot of opportunities to put crosses into the box, and I think Kilmarnock gave us much more space than we've been used to getting at Rugby Park in recent visits.
Yeah, you've seen that from the start. We were getting, I think it was at least 3 or 4 decent crosses into the right-hand side, and I was actually surprised at how easy we managed to get in. Again, didn't come to efficient at the end of it, unfortunately, but it was just good to see that we were getting good balls in at the box, and the delivery was good on the end of them. I was expecting Kilmarnock to be a lot more tighter than what they were. I was a bit shocked when I seen it, to be honest with you. I wasn't expecting it at all, and it was very, very easily how we were getting in. I think a lot of it was down the right hand side, to be honest with you. I didn't see kind of as much down the left. Taylor did have opportunities, but I think a lot of it came down the right hand side with John Joe Kenny. So yeah, it was really easy, I thought.
Martin, a debut for John Joe Kenny tonight. What do you make of him on loan for Everton?
I was quite impressed by him. He's not had a lot of game time this season. I think he's played 8 games, or featured in 8 games for Everton, albeit he's had some good 7 wins out of his 8 games. I'm sure it's not all down to him, but quite a number of clean sheets as well. So, but not a lot of game time. So you're a bit worried. How would he be with the last 90 minutes, and how lively would he be? But as Daniel says, a lot of the chances and a lot of the space came down his side. Sometimes just that final pass wasn't as accurate as you would like, but better than what we're used to with Frimpong when he was there. He didn't have
absolutely.
As Kenny tells us every time he's on. But yeah, I was impressed. I thought it was good. Showed his class, and I think he's going to be a good signing. I'm going to try not to get too carried away, because I remember on this channel getting carried away about people like Duffy signing and 1 or 2 others.
Let's not talk about him.
It didn't quite work out. I remember his debut talking about he's a leader and this, that, and the next thing. But early signs are good. I was quite impressed by him, and he seemed really composed and comfortable on the ball. So, and there wasn't much came down his side defensively either. He was comfortable throughout the game. So yeah, good debut, good solid debut.
You can't judge too much on one performance, but I thought he looked steady. Looks like he'll be a decent player for what it'll be worth to us in the next 3 or 4 months. Daniel Scott-Brown back in the team tonight, playing at the base of the diamond. Didn't expect to see him on the end of a Turnbull corner with a diving header though.
No, I didn't even expect him to start. Honestly, I was thinking it was going to be Soro, like I think a lot of us did. But what a finish! Just commanded that box and just honestly, it nearly went just bust the net. Brilliant finish. Took it really well, but again, like always, I didn't expect him to start the game at all. But I thought he did a lot to play today. I thought he did well. Just done the basics, I think. A lot of that which he hasn't done in the past at all. He's been completely off it. But no, I thought he did take his goal very, very well, and I just didn't expect it at all.
Martin, where to see Brown head in for a corner? Would you make his overall performance tonight in place of Sorrell, who maybe his form's dipped in recent games, Sorrell, but he certainly impressed when he first came into the team?
Sorrell maybe just deserved a night off. As Daniel says, I thought he would have started, but if Brown's going to help us out at all, he does need some game time, and we know when he's on his game, he's certainly an asset to the team. He took his goal well, as you say. The first thing I thought was he scored it well. Firstly, it was Scott Brown. Secondly, he scored with his head, because even in his heyday, when he was scoring goals regularly, it was very rarely with his head. He's obviously quite small, and he placed it beautifully right in the corner. He managed to lose his marker, created a bit of space. The ball came right into the penalty spot, didn't it? What a cross by Turnbull! It was just perfect. But he went one way or another way. He made himself a bit of space, and he just placed the header beautifully. So it wasn't like he just made sure he headed it. He positioned it as well, and they had nobody on the post, and the keeper was quite a distance away. His overall performance was good. I thought his pass for the final goal was an excellent pass. Again, we don't see him doing that often enough. It's sideways or backwards, partly because of the position he plays. But that was a fantastic pass, which created the chance for Ayeti for the last goal as well. So I was pleased with Scott Brown overall. His reaction to the first goal was quite interesting. He was very emotional. Few swear words along the way, but it was almost as if that was quite a bit of frustration coming out. I don't think we felt quite felt as excited as he did in the circumstances. 20 odd points behind. I don't think our celebrations were quite so passionate, but it was good to see that. You want to see that from your captain. You want to see that they really care, and sadly we've not seen enough of that from the team in entirety this year. But yeah, overall good performance. I was pleased.
Yeah, that's the story, isn't it? We haven't seen enough of some of the things that we've seen tonight. Daniel, the only criticism probably in the first half is that we didn't get more goals into the second. Ayeti wins the penalty, and I think he does well not to give it up, Ayeti, because he could just stop and let it go into the keeper's hands, but he gets there, he nicks in front of the goalkeeper. Do you think it was a penalty? I was unsure for one or two of the angles, but I think when you see the angle from the Scott Bain side of the park, it looks like Doyle's just caught him in the ankle.
Yeah, I didn't. I was unsure. The first couple of angles are a wee bit. You were unsure coming and going to see if you thought it was or not. But the last one I thought personally was 100% was the keeper. You can clearly see he gets a touch to him, and you felt the contact, and down he went. I thought the first half he did have a quiet game. I thought personally, he just didn't really seem to be in the game much. But then it just shows his determination to get himself to the keeper basically and get in front of the ball. It just was brilliant. It's good to see that, because he could have easily just have left it and not made any movement, but he was still determined to get there, and he won the team the penalty, which is good. And really good finish from Edward as well, which again I thought he had a really decent game as well tonight. At times as well, he's been frustrating, but I think he's wanted different himself. And you can see that in it as well. He's trying to take on a million men, and rather than just doing the simple things and just keeping it simple. But he can be happy with his performance as well tonight. Absolutely.
Aye, Martin, you talk about things that we haven't seen often enough this season, and Edward in that sort of mood is something that we haven't seen enough of, because you see it tonight. He looked determined, he looked focused, and you could tell for the opening few minutes that he was going to be a threat every time he get the ball tonight. Yeah,
I enjoyed watching him tonight, and when he's in the mood, he's brilliant. I agree with Daniel that he's quite often in the last few weeks he's just trying to beat one player too many. He does that step over and then goes one way or another, and normally it comes off, but the last few weeks it hasn't. But what's impressed me a lot about Eddie is he's starting to get the goals now, and I think playing two up top's helped him, regardless of who's up top with him. Just having a partner up there and being a striker, because how often have we played somebody up top that's not a proven striker? So I think he's enjoyed playing McGriff, and then tonight Ayeti. He's now scored in the last 8 games. He scored in 6 of those games, which is great. Only 2 games he failed to score, and in those 8 games he scored 7 times. So that's what we would expect of him, and we weren't seeing that earlier on in the season for a variety of different reasons. But that's what he would normally do, and that's what he was doing last year. So he's now back in form. Sadly, too little, too late for the league campaign, but it'd be good going into the Scottish Cup to get Eddie in good form and see if they can finish the season with a trophy. But I was really impressed with him tonight in particular. I thought he started the game slowly, but grew into the game. But Eddie was good. He's hit form, thankfully, a long time.
Yeah, a few people mentioned in the comments as well that if the penalty that we did get was soft, it made up for that one in the opening 10 minutes that we didn't get, because that was a stonewaller from Alan Power on Edward. You have both touched on Ayeti briefly. I thought at times tonight he was good. He did start the game quietly, but he grew into it, and I thought he done really well for his goal. I thought he was strong to hold off the defender, and then he puts it away with a lovely finish. Daniel, do you think that going forward, it was his first goal in 16 games tonight, do you think going forward, possibly under different management and next season, that he's going to have a longer term future at Celtic?
I would think so. I mean, that stat in itself is frightening, actually. Like 1 in 16, it's not what you would think for a striker at all. But he has had injuries as well, and he's been in kind of out of the team. But it was good to see him get again the 90 minutes as well. I was expecting him to be hooked after probably the usual kind of 60, 70 minutes, but it just shows that there is a bit of faith in there just for him to have the rest of the game, and he produced by getting a goal. So that's going to do his confidence world of good. And I think now he would need a run in the team if Griffiths isn't going to be in the team again. We all thought that Griffiths would have been starting tonight, but he's got to grab this now, and he's got to make that jersey his own. So I would be hopeful that he would be starting more regularly now and playing kind of as well as he did towards the end of the game. And he's absolutely, of course, but I think there's still a lot to come from Albion Ayeti, and I think he will, Paul. I'm positive that he'll kind of kick on now as well, because you've seen in parts of the game where he was linking up with Edward and things as well, but he's not. I don't think he's had enough game time at all. You can see that in it as well. He's a bit off the pace at times, and you see him playing. But towards, as I say, the end of the game, he was alert, and he was there to finish off. So yeah, we're good to see what he can bring over the next kind of number of months, and hopefully next season as well.
Yeah, I think that's the big criticism of him this season in terms of his fitness. So it was good to see him get 90 minutes tonight. But Martin, I like a lot of aspects of his game. I think his hold-up play is really good at times, and I think we saw that tonight, maybe more in the second half, but I think his hold-up play can be really good. We've seen that he can finish as well. And as Daniel says, maybe it is just a lack of games, and if he can get a run in the team now, get up to speed, and I think from what we've seen earlier in the season, he might be better with a partner than up front on his own. I don't know if the games that he did have there early in the season where he struggled, I think up at Pataudry was one where he started the game and he just wasn't in it at all. I don't know if that was down to fitness or if he's better suited to having a partner, but I think there's enough there that he can definitely be an asset for us in the future.
Mm-hmm. Remember when he first came, he didn't feature for the absolute ages, and the fans were questioning why that was, and the response that we got was that it was fitness, and of course he sat on the bench before he came to Celtic for a prolonged period of time, so he wasn't necessarily match fit, but it just appeared to take an eternity. And then when he started getting game time, he was prolific. I mean, his goal to game ratio was sensational when he first started getting game time, better than any of the other strikers. And then he hit that barren spell. I mean, his total game time he's featured in 25 games in total, but 15 of those have been as a sub. So very, very limited time, coming on for the last sometimes 10, 15 minutes, at best half an hour. And he hasn't really been a prolific substitute goal scorer when he's come on as a sub. So he's only started 10 games, and that was his 6th goal tonight. Before the game, they were talking about each goal's cost us £1 million, which isn't far wrong so far, because it was an expensive signing. But I did hear him talking post-match, and he said he's really struggled with his fitness and muscle injuries in particular. So I think often when he's been on the bench, it's been because he's not 100% fit, and he's really struggled to maintain his fitness level. So that'll be key going forward, because there's no doubt about it. The ability's there. He's an excellent player. He scores a wide range of goals. His link-up play is excellent, as you said, Paul. His vision's good. His movement's there. So he's got all the attributes of a good striker. It'll very, very much depend on, can he shake off? Is he going to be one of those players that gets injured all the time, or is he going to manage to shake off the muscle injuries and get himself fit and feature week in, week out as a wingman to Eddie? The Griffiths one's quite interesting, isn't it? We believe there was a fallout at the weekend, and words said between him and the manager. So, is that now giving Ayeti a chance to get a wee run ahead of Griffiths potentially?
Looks like it, because Klimala was off the bench, and Griffiths didn't get on tonight. As I say, I want to see him more. I think if we're going to find out if he has got maybe injury problems that are recurring, or find out where his fitness can get to if we give him a run of games, I'd absolutely like to see that. We know that in the wider context tonight is far too little, far too late, and let's be honest, the league games to the end of the season are effectively dead rubbers. But Daniel, we've all had a say on what we think is happening with the managerial situation, and obviously I was vocal during the week about wondering why that Neil Lennon was still in place, and I think some people are thinking if there is going to be wider restructuring, it looks like he's here regardless. So do you think that regardless of what happens now, we are just going to leave it until the end of the season? Do you think, I've heard some talk this week about maybe we'll look at a director of football before we look to a new manager? How do you think it's going to play out the rest of this season?
Well, we all know the change that we're wanting and we've been crying out for months on end now, but we've not heard, as I said to you before, we've not heard anything. The communication or the lack of communication has just been atrocious. So us fans are sitting here wondering what's going on, what's happening, and we're being just left completely asking the questions, really. And answer your question, I do think they will stick the line until the end of the season. I don't think that is the right thing to do, but if for some reason the board are they can't sack him, they just can't let him go, and that's just it. It's so baffling to see that after all these months that have went past, and the results and the way that the players have been, and it's shocking to see that this is still happening. I mean, you've seen as well there with last week with Alex Dyer, and he was let go. Just that was it. There's other teams that just are doing what they need to do. They know what they need to do, and they're just getting these things done, and they're thinking forward. I mean, I don't even think Neil Lennon believes that he's going anywhere. Just by the way he talks in his press conferences as well, I think he believes he's planning for the summer, which again I just don't think can happen at all. It cannot happen. And as I said, the sooner that Neil Lennon relieves his duties, the better. And we can then look forward and get the team back to where, as I said, I think a director of football would be a good idea. Dominic Ives looks to have good ideas. He seems to talk well as well. I think I've seen bits of interviews and things from in the past, and I think he seems to talk very well. He knows the good visions. I think he knows what he wants. So it'll be interesting to see. But we're still sitting here talking again about the same thing. Why we're in this position still, with the manager still in the job. So anything can happen in football. We know that, but the miracle if he goes, which I don't think will happen.
Yeah, we've heard even some talk this week, Martin, about again, it seems to be there's a rumour about everything now, whether it's this contract clause that means he can't be sacked until the league's mathematically done, or whatever it might be. But how do you see it going? Do you think it's just going to stay the way it is until the end of the season, and then it'll change afterwards, or do you think there is something more at play again that we don't know because we don't receive any communication about these things.
No, the January review, I think we're now in February, aren't we? We've not had a formal communication unless the club believe that the Lowell announcement was sufficient, but it was intended to be the managerial position being clarified. And January wasn't a good month for us at all. I think it was one win in the whole of January. Unbeaten in February, admittedly. Great start to February, and long may that continue. But on the Neil Lennon situation, I mean, we've heard chat about this payoff until it's mathematically impossible for us to maintain the role. We'd have to pay him an absolute fortune. I'm not sure I agree with that because you think we would come to some agreement. If we're just waiting on that, for the next 5 or 6 games or whatever it is, that would seem ludicrous. But it might relate to a change in leadership. So is Peter Lowell going to be trusted to make that decision? Is it now his remit, the fact that he's stepping aside with the new man wanting to say? And it might also be that they don't have a replacement lined up yet. So, as soon as they said Neil Lennon's out of here with immediate effect, then the fans will be demanding a replacement. And if a replacement's not readily available, we've seen that happen at Celtic in the recent past. Remember, Roy Keane coming and walking away and saying not interested, the budget's not big enough, and then you panic into a Ronnie Dyler or others who maybe we've taken because we felt the board have felt the pressure to a point as opposed to getting the right man in. So we can hope, I'm probably wrong, but we can hope that the board are trying to find the right person, and it might be that they've been in discussions with alternatives, but they haven't come to fruition. I know Benitez and various others have been mentioned, but how realistic those appointments are, I'm not sure. I think the bookies' favourites today is John Kennedy, which would rather they took their time and had a look to see who was available than appoint John Kennedy. I think the stadium would potentially be half empty next year if that's the appointment. So there could be loads of reasons, but you're the new man coming in. You would surely want to say who the next manager is going to be, and is he entitled to have that say now, or is he going to wait until he's formally sitting in the seat? And when will that be? Is it going to be June, July? Will he come in and there'll be a proper handover? Can we get him in a little bit quicker, informally, or will he informally have a say? We'll consult him, and it just happen as you would expect. But it may well be they're trying to find a replacement, and that replacement's not readily available right now, or they've maybe been talking to managers and they haven't been interested based on budgets, etc.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it develops. I think over the next month or few months, if it's going to take that long. A lot of talk again about how much the new chief executive, how much a role he's going to have to play in it. Will it be a combined effort, or as we've talked about, will it be a director of football first, and then they're sort of responsible for sourcing a new manager? It might be Andrew Villas-Boas after he's suspended by Marseille after saying that he didn't want Olivier Ntcham. So we'll see what happens. That's it for tonight. Like the video, comment your own thoughts below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you at the weekend for the build up to Motherwell. Cheers.